Absolutely. Well, first of all, Adriana, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. Just doing a live with you feels comfortable because I don't usually do lives. I'm like, oh, no lives.
Hi, happy Thursday. It's noon today, and I'm so excited to be here with you. I have Aqui joining me in a second. She's become a really good friend and a most amazing investor as well. So we're very excited to dive into some awesome topics today with you.
Hi, Ashley. How are you? You look amazing.
Hi. Well, thank you.
Oh, so good. Thanks for joining. Just saying hi to everybody here as well. I was just telling them that I love putting these lives together because it just gives a chance to spotlight, some really amazing investors like yourself and good friends as well. And just have some real conversations about real estate and life and being, a woman in business and family and all of the above. So very exciting. And I know we had come up with some topics we wanted to discuss today, and we can dive on in. I guess I was going to start with something that we both have in common as real estate investors is that we invest somewhere else. We invest out of province, not locally to where we live. Also, we do invest locally as well, but we also invest out of province, and we happen to invest in the same province as well, New Brunswick. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I have a lot of people to ask me, hey, like, how do you do that? Like, how do you start investing somewhere else? And don't you feel like you have to drive by your properties and see what's going on? So I wanted to ask you, what was that like? What's that move to investing? Why did you choose to invest in another province? What's the experience being like for you?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, Adriana, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. Just doing a live with you feels comfortable because I don't usually do lives. I'm like, oh, no lives. But I'm happy to be here. And that's a great question. And I do get this question a lot. I think for me, I'm a numbers girl, and numbers need to make sense. And when and where the numbers make sense, I know that numbers don't lie. And when they make sense, that's where my mind, my rational mind goes to. You know what I mean? So investing out of province, I think, became more a question of a necessity when, we went through like a pandemic, and we have some properties locals and we have some multi-unit locally, and it's great. But then you go through the pandemic, you realize how, your cash on cash, your ROI, your return on investment, and your cap rate, like a lot of things just stop making sense from a numbers perspective. And that's where, for me, I'm just like, well, no. And also problem solving type of personality. So started looking elsewhere, right? Started analyzing elsewhere. And where does it make sense, where it's a bit more landlord friendly, especially through the pandemic? A lot of people sometimes are not paying their rent. How does that process look like? So New Brunswick did make a lot of sense. There are other provinces that still make a lot of sense outside of New Brunswick as well. Nova Scotia makes sense. Like there are other places that really do make sense. And putting together a team, because I had a team that I started feeling very comfortable with in NB, I jumped for that because my team, there are my eyes, there are my everything. My inspector has an engineering background. He's super thorough. So they become your eyes, and you start being a lot more comfortable, not physically being there. You get videos, you request walkthroughs that are not just pictures that you're receiving. You request walkthroughs where you have videos. Sometimes I request live walkthroughs where I'm literally there on whatever, maybe Zoom or FaceTime, and we are going through the live through. So you find ways to get comfortable for sure.
So first of all, I'm so similar to what you just said. the same reasons why I started investing out in New Brunswick, investing here locally in Ontario. I was heavily investing in Hamilton, Ontario, and a couple of other markets here, and numbers just got crazy. Like they just went through the roof. It was no longer making sense, to purchase these properties. And I thought, hey, where else? Like, where do the numbers make sense? I'm also a numbers girl,
Right.
Like that's how I make my decisions at the end of the day. It's really math. And like you said, it doesn't lie. So I started doing the same process, just looking for other markets where numbers would make sense. The way I start any research process is by talking to people.
Exactly.
I don't know how you do it. I'd love to ask that question, but like for me, like I start talking to people like, hey, where are you investing?
Exactly.
Oh, I'm investing out here. How do you like it? Like, how has it been for you? Has it done well? Like, what's the market like out there? And then the next step is I kind of dive in a bit more and I start talking to the team. Because that's another question I'm going to ask you. Like, how do you start putting that team together? It's so crucial to have that team in place. How do you even start putting a team together in a different province that you haven't been to?
And that's where, you spoke about talking to people. Talking to people is definitely a starting point. But I always tell people, you need to couple that with your own research. You can't just be like, okay, well, this person told me this, so I'm going to do it this way. No, that's just a starting point. You know what I mean? Like, you need to do your own research after that based on your values, things that matters for you. What does a property manager looks like for you? And how does it give you the freedom that you need? So based on the information you receive, you start your interviewing process, and you start also I would say for sure, take advantage of the local people who are there. Like that networking isn't just with people that you have here, the people that you know. Start also networking with people who are there, right? That team, when we talk about realtors, like talk to the realtors, start asking questions, like befriend a bit more that space, the people who are in that space. So it's really through talking to various realtors and connecting with different ones, started asking questions about trades and, okay, who would you recommend for something like this? Talking to your lawyer who's there, be like, hey, who do you recommend for this? So all of that really allowed me to gather the data that I needed to now start doing my research in terms of interviewing those people and, developing that type of connection and seeing if my needs fit what they could provide and that we could really work well together. And then it's just about taking that jump and just doing it. You won't know if you just stay with the research and the analysis and all of that, and you don't take that leap of faith, you'll never really know. So you've made your calculated decision. Now it's time to just embark and get going.
I love that. That's exactly it. It's very, very similar process when you talk about that research, from talking to people. I usually try to think, who's doing the thing that I'm trying to do here that I can possibly know? And it's through conversations. If I'm talking to you and let's say I don't know if you invest out there, I'd be talking about it and say, hey, I'm looking to invest out in New Brunswick. Do you invest there? Do you know anybody that does? And really start connecting. Can you connect me with somebody that you know? I start hearing names over and over again, this person or that person. I'm like, okay, that's definitely somebody I really need to connect with because I've heard it from 2-3 people that they're investing out there. So to get me started on that process, and then I'm looking for the best people that I can get recommendation from. If somebody already has bought a few apartment buildings out in the market that I'm trying to buy it in, hey, they must have a lawyer. They must have, a realtor and somebody they've been using. They have, hi, James. They have like the people that have already in place. So I'm going to talk to them. And then next, I'm going to do, like you said, my own analysis. I'm going to go to a different realtor that I've talked. I don't only talk to one because they're all biased. We're all biased in our own different ways. I'll talk to one realtor, but I'll talk to 2-3 realtors. And hey, am I hearing the same information? Now let's get down to the paper. Send me some comparables. Is it really what you're telling me rents are like out there? Let me look at some history. There's so many resources out there of like, what's the past 60 years has real estate market has done in the past 60 years in this province?
Exactly.
What's the GDP been like? What's the, population growth been like? So there's a lot of things you can check on your own, from checking websites, research that's already done for you out there. So really matching everything. And then the last step for me, after I'm interviewing these team members, is alignment. Like, can I have a conversation with this person, right? Like, does it feel good? And it's like, are we aligned in how we talk and think? Can we have a great conversation? You know, I kind of,
you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I have this rule in the back of my mind, which is like, if I'm going to partner with you, if I'm going to be like, you know, in a team with you, I need to be able to go out to dinner with you. And
you know
have
what?
a good
I
time.
say I need to be able to wine and dine with you.
Oh, yes,
This
exactly.
is so funny. I'm like, I need to want to wine and dine with you if I'm gonna do
Yeah.
this, because this is a long-term investment as well, right? Like, it has to be someone that I'm willing to like share a glass of wine with.
How has your experience been investing out in New Brunswick?
Experience has been really great, but that's because we've done what we spoke about, right? Putting together teams that actually make sense. I mean, there are, you know, moments where I'm like itching and I'm like, oh, I want to physically be there, you know? I'm like, okay, I need to drive. Like, I want to go. I want to see, you know? Like, it doesn't mean because we're comfortable and we have good teams and whatnot that you don't have these moments where you're like, no, I want to physically see it. And, you know, but obviously that's part of the plan, and we're going to get there and do drives. And I love the idea of going to a completely different province, but somehow already having, you know, tangible assets in that place. I think for me, you know, as someone from immigrant background, you know, like it speaks volumes, you know, it speaks like, wow, like, you know, when, I don't know, like the Bible talks about, I will enlarge your territories. And for me, it feels like an enlargement of territory when you have assets beyond where your eyes are capable of seeing today. So yeah, no, it definitely feels good. And it just shows you what capability you are able to, you know, do, and things that you can do when you allow your eyes to see beyond your reach. So I'm here for that for sure.
That's such a cool perspective. I don't think I had, you know, thought of it that way. I have the same feeling of like, sometimes I do want to just be there and walk through it and see it. And I'm actually heading out beginning of June if you want to join me and, to go check out some things out there. But like, I feel the same, and then that's really cool perspective that you just brought about, that I hadn't really seen it that way. So I love that. Thanks for sharing that. And I think the other, you know, thing that takes, besides it's on the ground team, it's partnerships. So we have both partnered, you know, with different really great partners. Talk to me a little bit about that process. How do you pick a partner to both on the, you know, management side, somebody that to come in on the management side with you, but also, you know, financial partners that are come and join you to invest in these apartment buildings. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yes. Yeah, that's a really good question. For me, let's dive a bit into the management team. There has to be trust. There has to be trust, and, you know, that ability of wanting to wine and dine with the person. But I think definitely trust is a big thing for me. And so there has to be a bit more of a built-in relationship. You know, I don't just like, I don't know, I know some people do it and they're comfortable doing it. It's like, hey, let's just dive. But like, I need to build a little bit, right? And sometimes you don't have the luxury of building because, hey, sometimes you're asked to get on a deal. You have a certain expertise that they want, and they want you to be on a management. But I always still get on a call, multiple calls, Zoom. I need to get a feel. I need to understand what your project is. I need to understand what your plan is. I need, you know, that aspect is important. If it's me seeking out the person, you best believe that I've already sort of, you know, I'm a firm believer in your sixth sense, your ability. I read people between the lines. It's not so much about what they're saying to me. It's about the nonverbal that they're communicating, or the between the lines. You know, I'm a trained negotiator, litigator, right? So for over 10 years, I have that ability of sort of studying people. So I can really tell when people are just genuine human beings, you know, and I gravitate towards that, and I like that. So for me, that being authentic, you being authentic, and you know, you having a goal that's beyond just making money and benefiting yourself are important things for me in what I look for in a partner. Look at me, I'm spilling all the goods, and now like everyone's gonna be like, yeah, I'm authentic, but you know, like those are things that are really important for me. So those are kind of the things that I look for in the nonverbal, you know. And I think when like-minded kind of just like, they just like ride, like you just kind of feel it, you feel that energy. So I don't do extremely like a lot of different partnerships. I tend to stick to the same type of partners that I have, and we grow together. And when it's someone new that I'd love to explore, you know, I already get a feel for them. And if we vibe and it's good, then I could see yourself doing business and grow together. So that's important.
I love that. Yeah, I call it dating. Like, there's a little bit of a dating process that happens when you're looking at another managing partner, really, which is, you know, active partners, two active partners coming in together to do a deal. Because it takes a little bit of moment. And then I have another checkpoint here is, would I feel comfortable having you over to dinner with my family? Like my kids and my husband, like, would I gladly invite you over to dinner and have you sit at the table and eat with us? That's a checkpoint for me for like another managing partner, because that's what it takes. We're talking about like
my checklist.
Yes, exactly. Like we're talking about 5, 10, 20-year type of partnerships here, right? In real estate. So this is important. And like you said, going through the process and really understanding something that I've added to my conversations with, you know, investors, managing partners is how do you understand money? And what's your value of money? And a lot of that has to do with how you grew up. And I know that we can replace a lot of those original beliefs that we've had, but starting those conversations, like, what did your parents do for work?
Absolutely.
And did they have an investment background? And just really understanding, because we're talking about a lot of money here, and you don't want to be in a situation or in a partnership where your value and your beliefs around money are so radically different that you wouldn't be able to reconcile that when you are dealing with, you know, selling a property or refinancing or anything related to that.
I agree with that.
How generous are you, right? Like you just said, are you only thinking of yourself? Are you putting yourself first? In my case, I put our investors first, always. I will always, you know, pay our investors first or take care of them first before I think of myself, because that's just the kind of person I am. I wouldn't be able to sleep otherwise. So I need that person to really, you know, have that kind of same type of values and beliefs that I do for a good partnership to work.
Yeah. And I think, you know, when you ask these sort of questions about your relationship with money, how did you grow up with money? And one of the questions that I love to ask is, why are you on this journey? Like, why are you on this real estate journey? And, you know, just really leave it very open-ended. You get to find out so much more about the person and what matters to them without you even having to ask, you know, some of those. So just as they're speaking, you pick up on a few points, and there's some follow-up questions that come from that. But I love when you hear, you know, I don't discredit or rather eliminate a potential partner from the process when they tell me that didn't grow up with money or their family didn't come from money, or, I mean, those are not things that discredit the person at all to me. Rather, I think it's amazing when you don't come from money and you're able to really create a completely different life for yourself and really turn your relationship and change your understanding and relationship with money and able to grow like that. Like someone like that who I see has been able to come from extremely humble beginning, but amass like a really great network. That speaks to me volume in terms of the skill sets that you have, you know, like picked up along the way that will be, you know, transferable into this partnership. Right? Like you're someone who understands struggle. You understand, you know, humble beginnings. So you're not going to be like, too greedy, trying to like take over. And at the same time too, you're not going to make fun of or take advantage of some of our investors who it's their humble beginnings. So understanding that relationship and prioritizing the investors, and also, you know, like making sure that you actually cater to you know, the growth portfolio as opposed to just your own you know, benefit are key. And I think that person brings something so much more to the table sometimes, and they usually have a stronger why. You know, it's their why is solid, like there's no going back. Like, I know what it's like to be broke and I'm not going back. You know, I know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck and I'm not going back. And another thing that I love is, you know, when I interview potential partners, or when we interview each other really, because it's a good fit for both, right, is understanding beyond just why they're on this journey, what their goals are. You know, like, what are you hoping to accomplish in the long run with this, is important for me for sure.
So agreed with everything you said. Coming from humble beginnings myself and experiencing, you know, all the struggles that it takes you from getting to a belief system and pushing yourself way beyond that, and learning and growing and expanding your mind takes a lot, and there's a huge commitment involved that you're not going to let go that easily. So absolutely, I agree with that. Yeah. What about financial partners? What's your thought process there?
You know, I think it varies on the deal. You know, obviously, I have a legal background, so people's ability to be on a deal is really important. So vetting that properly is important as well. Obviously, understanding that, you know, there are certain deals that only make sense for you to be an accredited investor. That's important, you know, as much as sometimes it feels like, oh my God, certain people are being excluded, but it's really for their own protection. So it really depends on the deal, I would say. You know, as also a wealth coach, you know, who cares about people's financial literacy, like, there's a question that kind of, there are a few questions that kind of become important for me, right? Like, I'm not comfortable. I'm a real estate investor, but I'm not comfortable with people who are struggling to the extent of not being able to eat and taking all their money and putting it in a deal. That's a no-no for me. You need to have your life jacket on. You need to have your, you know, you need to have your emergency fund. You need to have your okay things so that I feel comfortable in your ability to invest in a deal, right? And oftentimes, the people who are investing are people who I kind of know already. I have an understanding, so I kind of know their history, because to some extent, I've also like coached them in their wealth building journey to some extent. So I know where they are, and I know when they're like, okay, you can definitely invest at this stage. But when it's someone completely new reaching out, if I know nothing about them, I'd like to get on a call. I need to understand, you know, like, where are you? Why are you doing this? Okay, as you know, I'm also a well-building coach, so it's important for me to just understand and make sure that you're going to be fine in this process, because and understanding the risk of investments, and also, you know, knowing what's the source of the funds becomes important, because sometimes, you know, we're so busy doing the deal and we don't ask, and then, you know, it becomes an issue in the long run. So understanding that, I think, and then moving forward to the next stage. It's not just about the race and just getting anybody in, because that too is an aspect of the relationship that we need to foster, right?
I tell investors quite often, first of all, one of my core values is I'm here to build long-term relationships with our investors. You know, we have a lot of investors that, you know, will invest with us in multiple deals.
Exactly.
And that's the kind of relationship that I want to build. And part of something that I do is when we do quarterly reports for our projects, I will personally meet with every investor just to have a touch base. Because like, how often just to be able to say, how are you? How's life going?
Right.
Here's what's going on in our project. Do you have any questions? I love to touch base, and I let people know. It's again, you go back to the dating process a little bit. We're getting to know each other, and we're really interviewing each other. You kind of getting to know me as a potential managing partner for this deal, but I'm getting to know you as, you know, a potential financial partner here. And it's not always a good fit. It's not always the right timing. You know, it's just not always. And I'm okay with that. If there's any sense of uncomfortableness of an investor being unsure, of not understanding, of, you know, just not quite ready, I'd much rather prefer to say, hey, this is just not the right time for you. I'm glad to, you know, we can keep building our relationship and getting to know each other. I'll keep you posted on what we're doing. But we'll circle back at a time that makes more sense for you. Because again, it is a long-term partnership, and we're talking about holding these assets and building wealth together over the long term. And being the right fit, the right alignment, and the right timing is just as important for all of us, you know, involved. So
you definitely hit it when you spoke about, like, sometimes it's not the good fit doesn't mean that it's just not a good fit per se, but sometimes it could be a good fit, but it's not a good fit in terms of timing, and that's okay, you know, like, and that investor becomes sort of okay, you know what, someone that you can circle back to at a later time. And sometimes it's not a good fit because of the deal. You know, it's not a deal that makes sense for what your capability are or for what you're looking for as a capital investor, and that's fine. But as long as you've taken the time to build that relationship, it's always someone that you can go back to. So I definitely think you hit it.
Yeah, amazing. I feel like there was one more thing. I'm going to shift focus slightly that we wanted to touch on, that you and I have dear to our hearts, which was really addressing the topic of health. I know you are a master at keeping up your workouts and prioritizing your health, and I love that about you. It's inspiring to me. I struggle with my workouts. You know, I have good phases, and then I have phases where I don't work out at all, and it's not good.
Join me, Adrienne. Let's do this together.
No, and listen, I must have had already 5 different accountability partners. I let them down every time, so I feel awful. And anyways, I have my struggles with working out specifically. But let's talk about that a little bit. I also wanted to touch on mental health, because
Absolutely.
You know, it's just as important, and that's by far, you know, such a massive topic that I don't feel like we talk about it enough. So tell me a little bit about your philosophy and your values around health, and how do you keep yourself healthy, you know, day to day, or how do you get yourself out of, you know, an unhealthy state when you get there?
You know what, I have a group coaching program called Fit and Wealthy, and it's super dear to my heart because I believe in accountability. I believe in supporting one another in this journey, because it's not always a fun or easy journey, you know. And sometimes for me, I spoke about how it's my son's birthday today. He's 1. So that means a year ago today, I was in a hospital somewhere in labor, giving birth, right? And prior to that, I was actually put on a bed rest. And that was a huge turning point for me in my life, because I'm a go person, type A personality, always busy and going. And now picture like being completely asked to stop everything. And my bed rest was, you need to stop. You know, no more craziness of running around. You need to take it easy, because you're actually at risk of having a preterm, like you're having like contractions like 2-3 months before you're giving birth. Like you need to slow down. And it was in the beginning of that bed rest, it was actually the most painful thing, hardest thing that I've had to do, because I had to completely learn how to quiet the noise and how to slow completely down, how to not feel needed, you know, like with job and everything, and just stop it, stop everything that you're doing, and couple that through going through a pandemic, you know. And so I just started feeling so upset. I was so upset. God bless my husband and for good partners who can actually go through these type of periods, because I was completely down, and at the same time I was trying to stay healthy because of our son. But what I learned through that period and just throughout the beginning phase of my maternity leave after that was the importance of prioritizing yourself. You know, as oftentimes mothers and whatnot, we prioritize everything else, and then we leave the crumbs of the days, as I call it, left for ourselves, where we're trying to just keep our head above the water. And shifting it completely and pouring into myself first in the morning became life-changing for me. So my routine is really, before the world requires of me, I need to spend some time pouring into myself. That's what my routine really is. It's about, in the mornings are first for me before it's for anyone else. So I wake up, I have my workouts, but prior to that, I have my meditation, I have my devotional, I have my gratitude journaling. I am a big believer in gratitude journaling, and just, you know, finding a reason to be grateful for on a daily basis, even when circumstances makes us such, like it's not like, not long ago it was like snowing outside, and here I was like, you know, being grateful in my gratitude journaling. Like, yeah, it's okay. It's May or end of April. But guess what? You know, I get to see greenery and I see some snow, but yet it's green on the, like, there's, if you want to be grateful, you will have a reason to be grateful. And if you practice gratitude and you're thankful and grateful for what you already have on your plate, you know, your plate will only increase, because, you know, if you can manage what you have and you're happy and you're joyful about that, then you're only creating more space for you to have more. So I believe in that tremendously. So that's my routine. So by the time the mommy starts flying and mommy, toddler wakes up, baby crying, I'm zen. I'm team zen, and I'm ready. I'm ready for it all.
I totally agree on the like morning routine. I've again have phases where I'm doing really well with it and phases where I'm just sleeping in instead. But I find that whenever that morning routine is in place and you start the day with yourself and for yourself, it makes a massive difference in what your day flows like. Just giving yourself time to, you know, be and meditate. Yes. I also agree about gratitude. The good thing about gratitude is when you're in a state of gratitude, it's hard to feel much else.
Exactly.
It's hard to feel frustrated or stressed out when you're in that state of gratitude. So you put yourself in the best mental space possible to tackle your days and the things that come along with it. And I find that you just talked about I didn't know the story about the bed rest. So I'm sure that must have been really hard. And I can imagine, I don't know if you know, but I guess you do know, I've just had COVID, still recovering from it. And I did not realize how hard it was going to hit me mentally, you know, and I think for the very similar reason is it just stopped everything. And I went from like, you know, like crazy amount of meetings a day, constantly juggling a million things that we juggle, you know, being so involved, working evenings, meetups, networking, weekends, all of it, to like, I don't feel good to even, you know, open my eyes. Like how do you mentally shift from like this madness of that good life can be sometimes to you know, not being able to move and not feeling healthy enough to do much. And mentally it was so hard. It took me to a dark place where I was just like, what's going on? Like, I'm just feeling unworthy and lack of confidence and like lack of purpose. It was crazy. And being able to realize that and understand that and slowly get myself back up to a place of like feeling good again and feeling, like myself again. It's only been a couple of weeks, but it's been a process and it's been an interesting one. What I learned through that was slow down.
Exactly.
We talked about that earlier. Like you said, a lot of people reach burnout because we feel like we're in some sort of invisible race,
Yeah.
right?
You see that a lot in our real estate investing spaces, right? Where people are like so busy trying to keep up with, I don't know what they're keeping up with, their peers or their what. And, and if you don't actually catch yourself doing it, you will fall into that trap of like, oh my God, Adriana's doing a 50-unit deal, because you are right now, right? So it's like, oh my God, like I must do a 50, or I must do like, Aki's closing on this property in Ottawa. Like we get so caught up in what everyone else is doing that you forget to run your own race. You get consumed by that, and you have to catch yourself and you have to remember why you are doing this and that you have your own journey, and it's okay to slow down. Like what you just spoke about, like you have these moments, and look at that. Someone hearing that, Adriana, I promise you, that's probably something that's going to touch them more than anything we talk about. Because some people look at us and they're like, oh my God, they're always like thriving, go getters. But we're humans, and we're women, and we're, mothers, and not everything is always great. And for me, that's part of the reason why I write in the gratitude journaling, because when things are not that great, sometimes I need to read a few pages, ahead, so that I can remember good things, so that I can even be motivated to write something good. And that's fine. I really believe the more we are authentic in our journey, understanding there are bad days, but being consistent in our efforts to move forward and reach our goals, I think that's what really speaks volumes to people. Not what everyone is trying, like even financial freedom. Everybody's talking about leaving the job, financial freedom. It's great, but is it the timing for you? Is it what's best for you in that season? Have you put in place the things that are going to allow you, if you do leave your job, to be financially stable? And when people say they've reached financial freedom, what stages of financial freedom? Because there are different stages of that, and understanding those stages, and really being authentic in that journey. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, let's not get caught up in the real estate investor world in the phrases and the things, but really more so, let's be more in tune in the actual state of your being and your journey, and really walking that path towards your goals, because our goals may not be the same, and it's okay. And I can cheer you in your goals, and you can cheer me. And even if they're the same, I can still cheer you when you're doing amazing and doing things that I'm not doing yet, right? And you can only do that when you're confident in your journey and your story.
100%. So agreed. I don't think this is talked about enough. I think people see social media and the content we put out, and I think our lives are just absolutely wonderful at all times. There's a lot of struggle that goes with it. There's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of self-awareness, self-development. And I have moments where I lose it all and go down the wrong path of just focusing on too much and burning out.
Right.
I think we all do. And then having to like bring myself back and like, hold on, that's definitely not the right path, because it's not feeling right. It's not where I want to be with myself, with my mental health, with my family. So let me like recalibrate it now and understand, hey, where did I go wrong? To me, the biggest thing through this process was like, again, the slow down. I went back to my calendar. I lessened the amount of hours I have available for meetings and things, and started streamlining a bit more the tasks that I'm doing during the day, so that I have more time for myself, so that I have more time. Hey, I nap sometimes.
Oh my God, I love naps.
I'm like, I'm gonna go take a nap because that was busy to meetings there or whatever. So, and taking that time to make sure that you're at your best, and that's so unique to each person. Absolutely. Right? So getting to know yourself, what recalibrates you, what puts you in the best place possible, so that you can be your best version of yourself for people, but also especially for you. Like, you got to be your best friend. There's,
exactly.
you know, that voice in your head that talks to you all day, every day is you. You want that to be your best friend. You want that voice to be the person that's, you know, encouraging you and uplifting you and giving you the best possible narrative. I do a little bit of an exercise whenever I'm having a moment. I'll be like, if I'm talking to my best friend right now, what would she be saying to me? She'd be saying, hey, you're amazing. Like, you're doing incredible. Go take a nap. You're fine. Like, everybody's going to survive.
That can wait. That can wait.
Yes, yes.
That next task can wait, you know? And sometimes I've gotten to a point now where I say no to certain deals because I don't feel the need to. Like, for me, it's about quality and not necessarily quantity. I'm not racing anyone. I'm not doing any of that. And, you know, and it's okay. Not this one, because guess what? This 2 weeks, I've decided that the priority is rest. And it's okay if I'm not involved in this one. You know what I mean? Like, and we need to get comfortable with that. And also delegating, especially type A personalities. Listen, you don't get to your genius if you're not delegating. You're not delegating those tasks that you need to let go of so that you can actually focus your energy in you should be doing to advance your business, to advance your company. Delegate the rest. Be comfortable trusting the people who you are hiring to be up for the task.
That's a whole new topic that we definitely should get on someday. It's already been 45 minutes. I know we talked about, hey, can we do, how long can we go? Wow. I told you it goes by fast, right? Like, it's
fast. I never thought I could do a 45-minute reel or live.
Really, I had no doubt. I knew you were going to be a pro. Thank you so much, Aqui, for joining me today. It's such a pleasure. I'm so happy that we've met, and you know, likes definitely attract. And you've come to be a good friend. So thanks for joining. Thanks for bringing so much value to the people around you, to your coaching students, to everything that you do for the community. And looking forward to doing this again sometime.
Thank you so much, Adriana. Thanks for having me. You're a gem. And we're riding this together. So I'm cheering you as you cheer me. So thank you. Have a good one.
Amazing. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you all soon.